Sick of getting blisters? Stop slipping and just be comfortable with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Great fit, great comfort, lots of grip, and an even better price. Available now at puregripsocks.com.
Adidas is arguably in the best position they've been in for the last 10, maybe even 12 years, where when it comes to their top-end models right now, there genuinely isn't a bad choice. Unfortunately though, whenever this happens with any brand, some models tend to get overshadowed, this definitely being one of them. There's absolutely no hype around them, but they might just be the best football boots from Adidas in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the Adidas Copa Pure 2 Plus in the gorgeous new Energy Citrus Pack colorway. This of course being one of two top-end leather options from the three stripes, this technically being the more expensive one with the one-piece prime knit enclosure. However, compared to when these boots first came out where they retailed for $280, recently the price has gone back down to $250, which is still not cheap, but it is a $30 price decrease, something that we very rarely see these days. We're at $250 rather than $280, that now puts the Copa at the same price or even a little bit lower than pretty much all of the most popular top-end models available, not just from Adidas, but pretty much all the big brands. And because these boots get next to no marketing attention from Adidas, a lot of people just disregard them entirely, but given the chance to try these on, I think a lot of people would be surprised at how amazing these boots fit and feel, which is exactly what I want to talk about in today's video. There's no doubt that the Crazy Fast and certainly the new Predators aren't incredible football boots, but depending on what you're looking for, the Copa Pure 2 Plus might be the very best option for you. We're going to cover all the details, talk about everything that you need to know, so if you're interested in learning more, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around, and if you are interested in a pair for yourself, you can pick them up below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes via the first link down below. And as always, if you guys enjoy these brutally honest reviews on the channel, don't forget to drop a like on the video and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already so you don't miss out on my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2024. Aesthetics aside, because I happen to think this is one of the best looking boots on the market, especially in this burgundy maroon colorway, just stunning football boots, what really sets this boot apart from pretty much anything on offer, not just from Adidas, but also what's currently available from Nike as well as Puma, is you're actually going to get a natural leather upper. And granted, it's not kangaroo leather, and I think a lot of people will watch this video and regardless of what I say, would never pay $250 for these over something like a kangaroo leather Mizuno model, particularly their made in Japan lineup. And I don't blame you for that. Mizuno's leather football boots are second to none. However, when it comes to the complete package that is the Copa Pure 2 Plus, I do think it has a unique set of offerings that you really can't get from any other boot right now. With their latest take on fusion skin tech for the upper definitely being the highlight. You're gonna find some really soft, super thin and pliable calfskin leather through the forefoot and toe box area that fuses what feels like very seamlessly into this more knit kind of synthetic based material running through the midfoot. You can see some of that texture embossed. It has some nice padding to it. And then of course, across the top of the foot, you're going to find that one-piece prime knit enclosure with a nice deep central lacing system. I know a lot of people are probably asking, why would you not just go for the $230 less expensive Copa Pure 2 Elite that gives you the traditional U-throat construction and standalone tongue? Well, there's a few different reasons. Reason number one is the material through the midfoot is different and quite honestly just a little bit stiffer, and the way that they did the tongue and just the overall feel of the upper, it's significantly more bulky and just has a very different fit compared to the Plus model. If you're looking for more of a modern streamlined sensation on feet, the extra $20 for the Plus over the Elite I think is very much worth it, and I have a strong preference towards this model over the more traditional Copa. Not to sound corny, but what makes this upper so special is, just like the name suggests, it's very pure. It's consistent across the entire foot. It's incredibly soft. It's comfortable. It's a nice blend of giving you that natural leather feel with the sock boot sensation that I think made knitted uppers so popular in the first place, where I think a lot of knitted football boots these days have taken on this kind of stiffer sensation. This has absolutely none of that. It feels like you're wearing a pair of leather socks. No nonsense on the surface. They've definitely left it a little bit more slick to the finish. So really nothing in the way of additional grip on the ball, which may or may not be your thing. That's totally a matter of personal preference. And from a padding perspective, there's definitely a softness to the entirety of the upper, but in general, I definitely would say that these boots are on the thinner side. And if I had to compare them to anything out there right now, they're not too far off what you're going to find from the Mizuno Morelia Neo 4 Betas, in that it does give you that soft leather in the forefoot with that kind of textile-based material through the midfoot. However, I would make the argument that the transition between synthetic and leather on this is as good as it gets, even better than what Mizuno have done. I'm not necessarily saying the quality is quite as good as a pair of Mizuno's, but the feel is undeniably fantastic. Moving to the rear, it's definitely more of a traditional take on a modern design in that it's a low-cut, no-nonsense construction, internal plastic heel counter, a little bit of elasticated prime knit lining the edges, but then you can see the liner itself is a microfiber material with two very sculpted pads and no real padding underneath or below the padding that kind of sticks out in the upper part of the heel area. And typically I'm not a big fan of this. It can lead to issues with discomfort, and certainly when you try these on, you'll know whether or not this heel liner is right for you. But I know for me personally, the comfort was surprisingly good considering this typically is not my preference. So overall, no personal complaints from me regarding this design, although your mileage may vary in regards to your specific foot shape, specifically the shape of your heel. Then the insole, fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. Really nice quality. It features this soft microfiber liner on the surface, no real extra grip or anything too special about that, but the foam itself is this nice thick white foam material that actually has some really good sponginess to it. It's not too different from what you're going to find from other Adidas football boots, but I do think the density and quality of this foam does feel a little bit nicer than everything else they currently use. Which brings us to the base of the Copa Pure 2 Plus, which I kind of have mixed feelings on, in that when it comes to overall feel and performance, what they have here definitely gets the job done, performs to a standard that you would expect from a pair of top-end football boots. However, it is a torsion frame sole plate and stud pattern that's taken from the now discontinued early variations of the Adidas Nemesis line from 2017. So the fact that they've gone and designed this entire upper to be specific to this model and then just recycled some sole plate tooling along with the stud pattern is a little bit disappointing, because I honestly do believe that if you took the sole plate from either the current Predator or the current X model and put it on this upper, you would have something incredibly special. Nonetheless, this does work good. It has a firmer feel overall, but still isn't lacking in flexibility through the forefoot. A nice solid base overall is kind of how I would describe this. And then as far as the stud pattern is concerned, it's the typical layout we're used to seeing from the Adidas brand, but with kind of these half circle studs with a bladed edge. That does provide a little bit more bite than something more traditional in terms of a full conical stud, but still gives you that freedom to twist and pivot. The studs themselves are also a little bit on the longer side. So if you play on artificial grass and certainly on harder ground in general, I don't think this is necessarily ideal, but on firm natural grass that's well kept, has some moisture to it, and even on softer ground, I think the traction from this stud pattern is top notch. Which brings us to the weight, where I thought it'd be fun to compare the Copa Pure 2 Plus to its more popular sibling in the Predator 24 Elite without the fold-over tongue, both in the same size, 9.5 US. We'll start off with the Predators, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.7 ounces, the equivalent of 219 grams. Remember those numbers, and we'll throw on the Copas, and you can see that they weigh in at 8 ounces, exactly the equivalent of 226 grams. In other words, you're talking about a very small weight difference of less than 10 grams between these two, where, like I talked about earlier in this video, if you took this Soleplate and swapped it out for this one, I genuinely think the Copas would be a little bit lighter than the current Predators. But regardless, if you're in between these two boots, while neither of them are mind-blowingly light, neither of them are also exceptionally heavy. They're kind of what you would expect from this style of football boot in 2024. On feet is really where these boots shine. The feel of this fusion skin upper, both the leather in the forefoot and the knitted material through the midfoot, they come together seamlessly. You don't feel the transition. And like I said earlier in the video, they feel like a pair of leather socks. The lockdown in the heel is great. The sole plate is nice and solid underfoot without feeling overly bulky. And the overall shaping of this football boot is arguably the best within the Adidas brand. I really think the X, their speed boot line, should actually be shaped more like the Copa if they wanted more of that kind of one-to-one fit. Really impressive all around, and they only get better as you wear them in, giving that leather a chance to soften up even further and form to the exact shape of your feet. From a width perspective, they're definitely not super wide. If you need a little extra width, the regular Elite model with the U-throat construction will allow the upper to open up a little bit more. This definitely has a slimmer profile, a lower volume profile overall, but that's not to say that they wouldn't work for most foot types. If you have really wide feet, probably not the best option, but if you like a snug, kind of tighter fitting football boot, something along the lines of what you might expect from something in the speed category, I think you'll absolutely love the way that these fit and feel on feet. And from a sizing perspective, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you are looking to get a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I'll put it very simply. If the scenario was I had to get a brand new pair of Adidas football boots and wear them in a match today, I'd have a hard time not picking the Copa Pure 2 Plus, which is crazy because I really do love the new Predator 24, but when it comes to fit, feel, and overall comfort, this is just hard to beat.